Hey there, it's Bobby Legs and welcome to another episode of Bobby Legs Loves Watches. And today, a different kind of video. We're going to be doing a comparison video between the Sinn U50 and the Sinn U1. Now, before we get into this review, a couple of things. Please like and subscribe and click that bell icon to get notifications every time I upload new videos. I love making these videos and I hope you like them too. And also, I'd like to thank my buddy John for lending in this U1. Now, this specimen here is over 10 years old. And in fact, it has the old ETA movement in here, the 2824. It's not an old movement, but now the modern ones, or the newer ones, sorry, have the Sellita 200. So we're going to do this review as if this has a Sellita 200. Pretty much the watch is exactly the same as it was 10 years ago as today. So let's suspend a little bit of reality here. We know this has the ETA, but we're going to do the review as if it has a Sellita because this is my new U50 and this has a Sellita in it. So both these watches really have a lot in common. In fact, most things in common. A few differences. First being the obvious, the size, the dimensions of each watch, and the movement. But let's talk about the things that they have in common. So these both models here are of the tegmented variety. So they're made of German submarine steel, the cases are, and the proprietary Sinn tegmented process has been applied. They both came with tegmented bracelets. I have elected to put my U50 in the silicone strap here. Other things that they have in common, obviously the sapphire crystal with AR coating on both sides. They both have those German certifications, the DIN 8310 for waterproofness, the DIN 8306 for tech demands for diving norms, the 8309 for the anti-magnetic. Both have 60-click bezels, right? So going around here, sorry, the gloves make it a little bit difficult for me to turn the bezels. Now these are cotton gloves. Divers don't have cotton gloves, so they probably have a little bit of a better grip on it. I know one person that made a comment in one of my previous videos in regards to me with having a little bit of difficulty with the cotton gloves moving the bezel, but the bezel action on both of these are very good. You have matte black dials, these classic Lego style hands that were a complete turn off for me originally, but I certainly came around to that. Healthy application of lume on the indices and the hour and minute hands. Both watches are just great tool looking dive watches for sure. Now into some of the differences here. The U1 is going to have a 44 millimeter case diameter, around a 50.5 millimeter lug to lug, 14.7 millimeter case thickness. This is a 1,000-meter diver. So, you're going to typically get a thicker case with watches with that kind of dive rating. Now, I'm going to put this on wrist. And, initially when I first saw the U1, not in person, but on the website, there's a couple of things that concerned me about it. Once I got past the hands and started liking the hands, I felt like the dimensions were pretty steep for my 6 3/4 inch wrist. But then I got to try one on at the Watch Buys Roadshow, and back in 2019 in December in Manhattan. And, I thought to myself, wow, I could definitely do this. I was still opining for a smaller U1. I thought it would be such a great idea for them to do that. Apparently, there were a lot of other people who thought the same thing, and Sinn listened, and hence the U50 came out shortly after that. But I can definitely wear this watch now. It is a little bit on the heavier side, of course. The head itself is a full 40 grams heavier than this guy right here, and more of that in a little bit. But I would say very comfortable on wrist. Again, typically with Sinn divers and, with any of the Sinn watches that have this bracelet here, you have this clasp that is, a little left wanting here. Sinn is so known for their great technology. I just hope one day that they're able to, give us a little bit better of a clasp. I know there's a lot of luxury watches out there that historically or even concurrently have stamped brace clasp. Right? This is not stamped, this is milled, but the clasping system is okay here. This one's a little bit better than some of the other ones that I've had to play with in the past, but it's just one thing. It's not a big deal. It's not a deal breaker. I just hope one day that Sinn seems to listen to their fan base, would actually do a better job. I mean, like I said, they're great with tech in a lot of areas, but let's see some of that tech go into the class. That'd be really great. Now this is powered by the Sellita 200, and this arrangement, as you see here, if you go on the WatchBuy's website, the dealer for Sinn in the States here, you'll see them for around $2,780. Now, this is definitely a watch that I would consider buying pre-owned, because pre-owned pricing is actually pretty good. You can find easily some U1s out there a little bit older for under $2K for sure, and maybe a little less than that. So definitely that would be the way I would play it. Let's move over to the U50. Case dimensions are 41 millimeter, 20 millimeter lug to lug, just over 11 millimeter case thickness, 20 millimeter lug to lug. This had a 22 millimeter lug to lug. Again, 73 grams just on the head. I have this on a silicone strap. It did came with the bracelet. Bracelet very comfortable. These bracelets are comfortable. It's just the clasp is not the greatest. This silicone strap is pretty comfortable as well, even though it's on the thicker side. The clasp I have here is pretty good. Just no micro adjust, which is kind of disappointing. I know they do offer buckles with micro adjust, but for this U50 at this particular moment in time, this is the only one I could get with this kind of buckle, which is tegmented. Now this is powered by the Sellita 300, which is actually 1 millimeter less than the Sellita 200. So it helps with the thinness of this. And this watch is incredibly thin. It's a 500 meter diver, so definitely nothing to sneeze at. I mean, it's half the water resistance, but I mean, who's going down 500 meters or 1,000 meters? Not many of us are. But this is, again, I can't get over the thinness of this case. It's thinner than my Black Bay 58, which is extremely comfortable watch for me to wear. So this watch is definitely, it feels like it disappears on the wrist at times, which is good. And great legibility on both of these. Now this will MSRP at $2,920, almost $200 more new than the U1. And since this watch has only been out for probably around a year, you're not going to see too many in the pre-owned, or if you do, you're not going to get that much of a discount from the MSRP. Because oftentimes this particular model is not available on WatchBuys and you have to reserve it. So so the pricing on this one is going to probably remain close to MSRP for a while, and then I expect it to come back down to earth in a few years, maybe even sooner than that. So comparison, yes, in a sense that very, very similar in many ways. Very different in size, right? And how it feels on wrist. Both watches are great. Stylistically, the same. It just, the big thing is, if you can wear it, right? So I have a 6 3/4 inch wrist. I feel like I could wear both these watches. If I had a smaller wrist, like maybe a 6 1/4 or 6 1/2, it's borderline. I'm definitely going to go with, I'm definitely going to be going with the Sinn U50. If I have a 7 1/4 plus, I am probably going with the U1, because this will disappear on wrist. Now, I know there's people out there with big wrists who don't mind smaller case diameter watches, and people with small wrists who don't mind bigger watches. and that's all good. I'm just thinking in my personal taste, I'm in a spot where I can pull off both of these watches, 6 3/4, 7-inch wrist diameter. You really could pull both of these off, no problem. Anything higher, you're going to tend to go with the U1. I think anything lower, you're going to go with the U50. At the end of the day, these are both great watches. Great watches for the price, especially once you get this in the pre-owned market for the U1, and in maybe a year or two for the U50. Excellent build quality. Save the clasp on both of these, where it's okay. Just hoping that Sinn one day can share the technology around and give us a better clasp. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think about these two in comparison. I would love to hear what you have to say. Please put a comment below, and I'll see you in the next video.